Down the Lane is a series that takes the viewer inside the Pendon Vale scene on imagined walks around parts of the village and the wider landscape. In this episode, we explore some of the buildings and scenes that lie in the shadow of the church and which form part of the heart of the village of Pendon Parva. Beneath the shade of a giant lime tree, the lane that passes in front of the village school rises steeply to a crest beside a large thatched building that stands on a bend in the road. Above the roofs and the trees can be glimpsed the church tower. From the crest, the lane slopes gently down to a junction. Directly ahead and on rising ground lies part of the churchyard with its jumble of headstones and a fine lich gate. To the right, mature silver birch trees frame the village reading room, whilst on the opposite corner, and quite unexpected amongst this venerable group of buildings, is a new telephone box. Its fresh paint and clean lines speak powerfully of the modern age that will come to transform this setting in the years ahead. Across the lane from the telephone box stands the village post office, and next door is the village butcher. An open door to one of the cart sheds reveals harnesses and bridles hanging on wall pegs. At the rear stands a two-wheeled cart. A cat suns itself in the doorway. The butcher, resplendent in a striped apron, is busy in his shop. Sides of meat hang from ceiling hooks and joints are displayed on a simple wooden board that is open to the road, protected only by a plain canvas awning. Although the shop has an air of prosperity, times are hard. The thatch is in need of repair and sparrows have made holes for their nests. But the cobbled pavement is swept of weeds and wild flowers grow in the banks below the retaining wall with its neat white fence. Further down the lane, a wonderful building comes into view. The crooked timber framing, the herringbone brickwork, and the roof, heavy with moss and lichen and distorted with age, indicate a building of great antiquity. An oriel window projects from an upper story, suggesting a property of some status, a yeoman farm perhaps. But the yeomen are long gone, and now the building houses a general store. The sign proclaims the owner, Robert Duck, and the goods that he sells, many of which are displayed in the neat bay windows on the shop frontage. A narrow path leads down the side of a huge rear extension to the store. Insects are busy amongst the nettles that have rooted along the walls of the building, whilst swallows swoop and dive from their nesting places in the eaves. A hedgerow dotted with wild flowers separates the path from the garden of another thatched house. Over the hedge, its large vegetable plot can be seen, providing a reminder of the self-sufficient nature of rural life in the 1930s. At the rear of Duck's store, the true scale of the building can be appreciated. The main house has clearly been extended on several occasions, whilst the rear wing contains a remarkable range of stores and sheds. A flight of dusty stairs leads up to what must be a vast attic, whilst in another part of the wing, empty packing cases and boxes are arranged in untidy piles. At the rear stand cart sheds, styes and stables. Like his neighbours, Robert Duck grows vegetables, and the neat plot contains potatoes, beans, peas, cabbages, cauliflowers, onions, lettuce and marrows. A stone sundial stands in the middle of a clipped lawn, and high on a rear gable is a dovecot. In the opposite direction, this back lane leads to 2 thatched cottages. The larger one, named Chestnut Cottage, is a small holding with a solid brick and stone barn and a range of thatched stalls. The cottage is built from a delightful blend of chalkstone, sarsens and bricks, their subtle colours enhanced by the climbing roses that adorn the frontage. Its neighbour, Jasmine Cottage, is a much more humble dwelling. The faded paintwork and the missing palings from the fence hint at the relative poverty that many rural people experienced at the time. The lane rejoins the main road alongside another timber-framed building, Letcombe Cottage. This house has also seen better days. The thatch is in need of repair, damp discolours most of the walls, and there is rust on the railings that border the lane. On the frontage, a panel shows the year 1698, which perhaps tells us when the house was built, whilst the set of initials HKM may have been the first owner. Opposite Letcombe Cottage, a fine set of wrought iron gates lead into the churchyard. To the left lies an area of modern burials, the black and white marble headstones standing in stark contrast to the mellowed stone of some older burials that lie near 2 yew trees on the other side of the path. On the south side of the church, and shaded by a giant yew, is a more extensive older burial ground, the stones heavily weathered and covered with lichen that often obscures the names of those who lie beneath. Some graves are almost lost in the longer grass and the overgrowth of weeds and brambles that fringe the plot. From the path down to the lane, a splendid view of the entire frontage of Duck's Store is revealed, framed by trees and the corner of the church itself. The path leads back to the road through the shade of a large beech tree and the protection of a beautiful lich gate. This little structure repays close attention. The pegged oak frame, the elegantly carved braces and the decorative motifs bearing silent testimony to the skill of unknown medieval craftsmen who built it. One of the gates has dropped slightly on its hinge and has to be lifted to clear the flagstoned floor. The noise of the hinge momentarily attracting the attention of the village postman on his afternoon round, as he ambles past the new telephone box that stands across the lane in the shadow of the church.
We hope you have enjoyed this short video. We have a lot more from Pendon to share with you. Click on the link below to access some of our hidden gems, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we update regularly.